I first imagined the world of Link and Zelda many years ago. From the start, my goal was to make a place for players that would be very different from the real world. I hoped in this world players would do things they had never done and go places they had never been.
Hello? Hey! Listen!
Oh. Hey there. I was, busy getting caught up on some literature.
Bruh.
Ew, sorry, this is a horrible intro. Just cut the cameras, man. I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself. Do you remember the first game you ever played? Because I'm having a hard time remembering for myself. Maybe it was one of the classics, like Super Mario Bros., Metroid, Pac-Man, Asteroids. Or maybe it was a bit more of a modern classic, like Wii Sports, Minecraft, Halo, one of the Call of Duty games. Maybe it was Devil May Cry 2. No, not Devil May Cry 1, Devil May Cry 2. That was the first game you ever played. I don't know what to tell you, I'm sorry.
Let's rock!
Well, maybe we can't remember what exactly the first game we ever played was. Let me ask a different question then. Do you remember the first game you ever played that you fell in love with, that made you want to play games for the rest of your life? That turned you into the hardcore gamer you are?
Bruh.
Now, I bet that's a lot easier to figure out. And again, if it was Devil May Cry 2, I want to have a chat with you. I want to pick your brain, if you'll let me. I mean, listen, you and I, dear viewer, might have different games that we really fell in love with. Maybe it wasn't just one specific game, maybe it was a series or multiple different games. Regardless, whatever game made you fall in love with gaming, that's gonna stay with you for the rest of your life. I mean, I know it has with me. That's for sure. I want you to take a wild guess as to what game or series made me fall in love with gaming. I wonder what it could be.
I don't know, I'm really stoked on this. I mean, I did kind of want. Oh yeah, wait, isn't Link the girl? Yeah, I'm pretty sure Link's the pink. Is it League of Legends?
Can you take a guess? Can you guess what it was? I bet you can't. Alright, I know a lot of you know how much I love Zelda. That's a given. However, I don't really think I've talked with you about which game really made me fall in love with gaming and the series. Well, let me take a step back for a second and let me talk about what inspired me to make this video. It was a calendar.
Huh?
Yeah, that's right. A calendar made me want to talk about this game today. My birthday happens to be at the beginning of each year, and it makes it easier to get gifts like calendars or new journals, and of course, if you give a Cowboy Luna anything related to Zelda, they're gonna want more. And I was gifted a beautiful Zelda calendar, and as I was pulling up the pages from Tears of the Kingdom in June, I was going to July, and what did I see? I saw some artwork and immediately heard the title music and just was infected with nostalgia. Nostalgia. I can feel it. Being nostalgia bombed. And of course, as it so happens, Nintendo announced last month that The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time would be remade for the Nintendo Switch 2, coming out sometime this year. Ooh, ah, ooh. And because of this and my desire to replay this game, especially before it comes out, here I am. I want to talk to you about Ocarina of Time. Also asking the big question of, is Nintendo re-releasing this game for the sake of a quick cash grab? Or is Nintendo trying to allow new audiences and generations to experience one of the greatest games and stories of all time? Let's talk about it, shall we? Now, before we get into any of the minor details to do with this remake for the Switch 2, we have to go way back in time. I think in true video essay format, we of course have to go back in time and dive into the history. Yay! Yay! No, but for real, in order to talk about the possibilities that could be coming with this remake, we have to ask ourselves, well, how did I get here? So let's travel back to 1998. On November 21st of 1998, Ocarina of Time for the Nintendo 64 released. At the time, it was Nintendo's most pre-ordered game ever. I believe had a record of most sold copies within the first week. Obviously, it was a hit. But again, how did I get here? Well, we actually have to go back to 1987. That's really where Ocarina of Time started its development. After the success of the very first game released on the NES,
Awesome. Intense.
Nintendo wanted to take one of their main gimmicks in every Nintendo game, side-scrolling, and apply it to a new Zelda game. That's right, Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. Now, some people do really love this game. If you do, good for you. However, the majority of audience that have played this game, including me, not the biggest fan. This is a general skip when it comes to Zelda games. The mechanics are meh, it's way too difficult at times, and overall I just simply don't really care about this story. It's just not my thing. Sorry. Zelda 2 fans, please don't. Please don't get me. And while Zelda 2 did not do as well as Miyamoto predicted, he was motivated to lock the freak in. And so he did. And while there were several successful Zelda games released in between Zelda 2 and Ocarina of Time, such as Link to the Past and Link's Awakening, Miyamoto was stubborn and really wanted to redo what Zelda 2 was into a new polygram 3D styled Zelda game. Theoretically, he wanted to make Zelda 2 into a sequel with polygons for the Super Nintendo. However, the Super Nintendo did not have the technology it needed to achieve this at the time. But he kept developing it. He didn't give up. It truly wasn't until 1996 when the Nintendo 64 came out, with a huge game like Super Mario 64 that allowed the player to control Mario in new ways. And while they were making Super Mario 64, they were thinking about Zelda the entire time. But as it went through many phases and changes, it was actually being developed for the Nintendo 64 DD. Oh boy. We'll touch on that later. I can't even get into that right now, man. And while it was supposed to be released on the N64 DD, it actually got switched to a cartridge release. The development team at the time really wanted to make sure that this game was being done right. And of course that meant going through multiple different changes. At one point Miyamoto wanted this game to be Doom style, first person point of view. However, they actually did add this feature later on as a sort of option for shooting at faraway enemies, and even for other items like the hookshot. Not only were the mechanics and playability constantly changing for the game, but the story was also constantly changing. From the game initially just supposed to take place in Hyrule Field to the game not even supposed to have young Link, there was no set goal for the game. They just sort of made it as they went along, which created plenty of friction and conflict within the development team. Development was truly deemed as a mess up until release. That's another thing, the game wasn't fully put together until release. It was just made in different parts by different teams. Listen, sometimes in order to create a masterpiece, you gotta make a mess, I'm just saying. And because it went through several different phases and changes, and even a different release on an entirely different system, that created some of my favorite sort of background knowledge and lore, if you will, on any development of a Zelda game to this day. So now I kind of want to get into what Ocarina of Time was initially supposed to be. From both Ura Zelda and Zelda Gaiden. Yeah, I'm going there. While everyone who's ever played it knows and loves Ocarina of Time very, very much, most of the things we know and love about the game weren't actually supposed to be there at all. But let's talk about Zelda Ura, shall we? Oh man. Also known as the Lost Zelda game, Zelda Ura was supposed to be a disc drive expansion for the Nintendo 64, specifically for Ocarina of Time. Okay, I know I've talked a lot about the Nintendo 64 DD. Let me just give you some backstory, okay? It's a mess. Basically, the Nintendo 64 is a cartridge-based system. But Nintendo went, we've been working on some new technology and we want to add some expansion to the Nintendo 64 so you can play different games with a disc and a disc drive. Wouldn't that be cool? And man, were they ambitious, because girl, this thing flopped. It didn't even get an international release, it just flopped miserably. And that's why Zelda Ura had to disappear. And if you thought the developers hated working on Ocarina of Time, they hated Zelda Ura more. They thought it was a punishment. And with Zelda Ura, it was supposed to basically put every single idea that was either canceled or flopped or vetoed, added on as an expansion / other own mini game to Ocarina of Time. From gimmicks like magic masks, randomizer components, and even online playability, these ideas unfortunately never saw the light of day within Ocarina of Time. However, they clearly were applied later on. The main points of Zelda Ura that didn't make it into whatever Zelda Ura was really supposed to be actually just transitioned into Master's Quest, which was first released for the Nintendo GameCube. But while there was Zelda Ura, there was also Zelda Gaiden. It's a whole other can of worms. Let's talk about it. a lot of people mix up Zelda and Zelda Gaiden, which, to be fair, they were both a big part of the development of Ocarina of Time, so I can't really blame you. Zelda Gaiden was kind of known as the side story of Ocarina of Time. But again, Nintendo has some hard-working devs, and they didn't want to just let go of a bunch of those side story ideas, which included the idea of Zelda Ocarina of Time having an in-game time system between 7 days. Ooh. But instead of letting that go, they took a lot of those ideas, and what did they do? They birthed Majora's Mask! Yeah! While there's still plenty of fun facts about the history and development of Ocarina of Time, I haven't even talked about my experience with Ocarina of Time. Please let me, please! I just remember vividly walking into my living room one day and seeing none other than my sibling and my dad playing something on the Wii that I've never seen before. I remember playing a lot of games on the Wii, but the one that stuck with me the most wasn't even made for the Wii. I just remember the amount of times I'd come home after school and we'd all gather around the TV and watch the beauty that was Ocarina of Time. And while I didn't officially get to play it on my own, that's where we jump into the next thing I want to talk about. Ocarina of Time for the 3DS. Well, my sibling had the privilege to possess a Nintendogs themed DS, and that was one of their main systems at the time. I was lucky enough to somehow get my hands on a 3DS when I was a kid. Well, technically I didn't get it when it came out. I waited until Ocarina of Time came out for it on the 3DS. Thank you very much. Only reason I wanted a 3DS was because Ocarina of Time was gonna be on it, and at the time it looked beautiful. Not only were the graphics enhanced, but the gameplay itself was. The 3DS was developed to enhance what the DS already had to offer, such as better graphics, better load times, and even capitalize off of the popularity of 3D technology at the time. Whoa! 3D! Nintendo took the opportunity to re-enhance, remake, and remaster Ocarina of Time. And while the 3DS ended up being one of my favorite systems ever, my love for the 3DS is all thanks to Ocarina of Time, truly. But as I was saying, not only did they want to remake Ocarina of Time to showcase the features on the 3DS that translated well as an upgrade from the Nintendo 64, it also gave the opportunity for Nintendo to show a new generation the most well-beloved game of all time. Which leads to what I want to talk about finally, Ocarina of Time being remade for the Nintendo Switch 2. While there's been rumors and potential leaks that have been out since, I want to say, December of last year, maybe even before that, a lot of folks were skeptical, including me. I was like, yeah, okay, we'll see. Many people, including me, really didn't know what to believe because unless you're Mario or Pokemon, you're gonna get sidelined. Sorry, you just are. But I was pleasantly surprised and of course crying when I saw this trailer. Well, only about 1 minute and 38 seconds, the trailer displays a wide variety of new and improved elements to the game. And while we don't know much about this remake, there's several possibilities that I would like to chat about with you. No, I'm not trying to set up any expectations. As a longtime Nintendo and video game fan, I'm well aware that a lot of people will set the bar quite high for any kind of remake or remaster. Now, I don't want to quite do that. So here's a couple of possibilities that could happen in the remake. I'm not saying they're gonna, but they could. While we know Ocarina of Time really isn't an open world game, and I'm not expecting it to get full Breath of the Wild treatment and BAM! Now you can just see even more Hyrule, I wouldn't be surprised if they connected more of Hyrule together and added some extra things and expanding the universe, not necessarily changing anything. Do you have something you want to say?
Hello.
Phoebe, blink twice if you're working for Nintendo.
Bruh.
If you've played any version of Ocarina of Time, you know the Hyrule's pretty connected. Places like the Lost Woods connecting you back to Goron City and Zora's Domain. Maybe there can be an exact tunnel that leads you from the Lost Woods all the way to a part of Hyrule Field. There was a Giga leak a couple years ago that actually revealed a variety of unused maps. They were scaled much larger than the existing places. And the Lost Woods was one of them, so maybe that could get expanded a bit more. Who's to say? Now, I know I shouldn't put expectations, and this is definitely a want, but I would love to see Castletown expanded. I mean, the OG game was supposed to showcase more of Castletown, but it'd be fun to see more of Castletown expanded into an actual town rather than just a little plot of land. As I mentioned a lot in this video, there's a lot of unused content and ideas for Ocarina of Time, and while plenty of those ideas were scrapped and or used for other games, little things could still be added. Hell, there's been a theory for years that we were supposed to get the Triforce in Ocarina of Time, as shown in the Zelda 64 trailer, and in your inventory there's a little stamp where the Triforce is supposed to go! And while I'm not asking for the unicorn fountain to show up now, and no, I'm not even gonna talk about that. That's a whole crazy theory within itself. It would still be cool to see other things that weren't used or maybe wanted to be used finally put into the game. Now, this is a hit or miss. I don't really know if this could happen, but more story development. The story of Ocarina of Time has clearly resonated for generations upon generations, and even has been developed into a manga. What? And while the manga doesn't try to do too much or go fully outside of the story, just giving audiences a chance to really grow alongside Link. It makes Link's character more of a character rather than, I'm just playing this video game and I'm playing as myself, kinda. And I know that's the whole point, but as a huge fan of the story, it's really fun to see Link's POV. And while something like adding more story elements from the manga is a long shot, elements like voice acting, load times, and even the possibility of unlocking Master's Quest at the end isn't too far-fetched and is likely guaranteed. So as I wrap up my discussion of Ocarina of Time, I kind of want to answer one of the questions I asked before. Is this remake already being considered a cash grab? I think it depends on your point of view. If you've been frustrated for years with the greed of Nintendo, then absolutely this could be considered a huge cash grab for not only the game, but for the Nintendo Switch too, which while it's made plenty of money, has been pushing people back to buy it because there's not many games on it right now. And while I think it could be considered a cash grab, looking past that, because as someone who loves this story so much and seeing it evolve and the idea of new generations and people being able to finally play this game, I think is such a magical thing to be able to witness in my lifetime. And yes, I have expressed my opinions on reboots and remakes because I've been craving new content and innovation for God knows how long now. Seeing this beautiful story be told over and over as it evolves is exactly what storytelling is all about. And maybe I'm biased because this game truly changed my life for the better, but screw it, I don't care! This game changed the trajectory of the Legend of Zelda series for good. I mean, we wouldn't have so many other amazing Zelda games if we didn't have Ocarina of Time. But not only did this beautiful game make me fall in love with gaming, it made me fall in love with storytelling. As someone who loves to read and share stories, as well as write and create my own, the beauty of storytelling and the passage of time has always made me think back on this game. There's a reason they're remaking this game. Maybe it's for the money, maybe it's for the storytelling. But hell, there's a reason this game has been deemed the greatest game of all time. That's about to be me any second. I'm so tired. But hi! Hello! Thank you so much for watching this video. This video means so much to me. I'm taking this opportunity to grow as a content creator. I love making the videos I make. I see them as its own form of storytelling, and much like this remake, I just want to hopefully evolve. And I'm excited to create more. I have so many different ideas for the rest of this year. I know I say that every time, and I know I take my sweet time on each video, but it's for a reason, okay? But thank you to everyone who's ever watched. I really appreciate you, and I can't thank you enough. And best believe, not only will I be playing the freaking heck out of the remake, but of course I'll be making a review video, duh. We don't know when that'll be, so stick around. Man, I'm about to pull a link and just...